Hello and welcome to the Syco XT instructional video for the assembly of the Syco XT external frame. Before assembling the Syco XT external frame, there are a few safety factors to consider. Safety gloves should be worn, as there are a few pinch points. It is recommended that covered shoes be worn in case a pole is dropped on a foot. Before erecting the Syco XT external frame, ensure the area that you're going to be using is on a nice flat, even surface. Once the external frame has been erected, sandbags may be placed on each of the 3 feet to prevent any slippage. 10 kilogram sandbags are ample weight. Tent pegs may also be used. You should also ensure there is a safe perimeter around the Syco XT external frame to prevent any observers being struck by the board. Once you know where you are going to set up the external frame, place the dropper in the middle of this area. Next, take 2 of the large poles and place them on the spigots of the dropper. Then insert the 2 joiners into the large poles using the button clips. Following this, add 2 more large poles to each joiner and lie them down on the ground. Now take a corner joiner and insert the 2 poles into the spigots of the corner joiner to form a triangle. Take one of the long wires and screw the turnbuckle until it fully extends. Put the turnbuckle on the hook adjacent to the bottom pole. Bring the wire up and around the back of the corner joiner, ensuring it slips into the slot on the outer corner. Run the wire back to the center where the eye hooks onto the second hook adjacent to the bottom pole. Once attached, screw the turnbuckle to maximum tightness by hand. Once the wire is tightened as tight as it will go by hand, move to the next spigots and repeat the procedure by inserting the large poles once again, followed by the joiners and 2 more large poles. The assembly can now be rolled over with the eye of the dropper to the ground. Continue by attaching the corner joiner and long wire to the section. This is repeated one more time, so there are now 3 sections protruding from the dropper. To attach the 3 short wires around the perimeter, loosen the turnbuckles and attach them to the hooks on each corner joiner. It is at this point the webbing is connected to the top section of the frame. Take the webbing and hook it through the large hole on the corner joiner. Each corner joiner will take 2 hooks with webbing. You can now take 2 more large poles and attach them to the corner joiner. It is very important that you choose one corner to start with and do not start any other corner until the first one is complete, with each leg running down to feet at the base. For the next stage, you will need 2 people, as you will be lifting one side of the frame up. One person will be at each leg to attach 2 more large poles to each leg, as well as a foot at the bottom. It is easiest if these parts are in close reach, ready to be attached as the frame is lifted. Lift the frame together while sliding the large poles on at the same time, using the button clips to secure them in place. Repeat this procedure with the third poles and finally the foot at the base. While the frame is still close to the ground, this is a good time to attach the sling. Thread the sling through the eye of the dropper and make sure you have connected both ends of the sling and both safety wires. Next, it is time to connect the small ground poles between the 2 feet connected at the end of the poles. Slip the poles together using the button clips to connect. Now take the rope, which should be tied in a figure of 8 knot at one end and threaded through the small hole on the side of the plate that doesn't have the cleat on it. Take the other end of the rope to the other foot, wrap it around the small ground poles once, then feed it through the hole in the plate of the foot and put it in the jam cleat, giving it a pull to tighten. 3 more large poles can now be connected from the corner joiner sitting on the ground to the adjacent foot. Connect each pole using the button clips to lock them in place. Repeat this now with the corner joiner and foot on the other side. Now take the webbing that is attached to the corner joiner, wrap it around the large poles once and then into the ratchet and do up the ratchet. Do the same with the webbing on the other remaining 3 legs, doing the ratchet up nice and tight on each one. Once the load has been taken off the centre dropper, it is important to go back and check the wires. The radial wires, these are the ones running from the corner to the central dropper, should still be fairly firm. If they're not, tighten them up with your hands. The triangle wires that run around the outside will normally be a bit loose. This is because the tension has been taken up by the unit. Retighten these wires as tight as possible by hand. The next phase is to lift the remaining side and attach the legs. Once again, 2 people are required to lift the unit, 1 on each corner, working together, putting one leg section in at a time and finishing with the foot. The smaller ground poles can now be attached to the base of the assembly as it was done earlier. Using the rope, wrapped around the ground poles once, through the jam cleat and pulled tight. To complete the assembly of the frame, the last 2 webbings are wrapped once around their leg and into the ratchet where they are firmly tightened. Once erected, walk around the unit, checking all ropes, webbing and wires are nice and tight, and there are no gaps between the pole joiners. You can now hang the Syco XT. Make sure the gate is done up on the carabiner. Once this is done, you want to apply some load to it by putting your body weight over it and bouncing up and down a few times. Then recheck all ropes, webbing, wires and joiners. You are now ready to go Syco.